Massey Ferguson, with big old wheels and a mighty grin, will always be right there to lend a hand. If you see him passing by the road, tip your hat and say hello to the greatest little tractor in the land.
It was very early in Forest Hill Farm, and Scratch was sleeping in the trailer, but Massey and his friends were awake. They were to head home to New Zealand and take him to their farm. They pulled out of the shed as quietly as they could. Scratch woke up. Oh, sorry, Scratch. We didn't mean to wake you, said Massey. I'd rather not sleep during the move, said Scratch. Anyway, why are you up at this time of the morning? We're heading home to New Zealand today because we've got a new bucket Mary ordered for you, said Max. A new bucket? Said Scratch. New Zealand? I've never heard such a country, except the model writer said to me it's like being in the UK. And where did you guys go to get to Tasman Sodor? Masterton. Then we go through Matamata, then Glenbrook. Jenny Wakeman will guide you from a workshop, said Mrs. Milk. Have you got your talkie-talkie with you? Yes, I do. And who's Jenny Wakeman? A robot teenager. Now we better go to market, where we go through the tunnel to Canada, said Gracie. And they set off to find the tipyard. It wasn't long before they arrived and got in the workshop. The countdown shop's busy, and it's morning, so we can get you to our farm, and you can collect your new bucket, said Massey. But you have to work on planting the seeds. Max will plow first, then you'll have to sleep during the day and wake up at night. That's like when me and my friends did the football lights, so I could do the same, but you don't need wires, said Scratch. And you have to go into countdown again with Jenny's help, and with your headlights off, said Casey. Okay. Let's cope with the sun. And they sneaked into the workshop, going through the tunnel. is, guys. Soon, they were back in New Zealand and were on the day journey home to Ferguson Farm. Wow, this is amazing. It looks a lot like Tasmania, said Scratch. Oh yes, there's a word that says Australasia. It's never confusing to learn, said Massey. Jenny should be at the farm somewhere, said Casey. All of a sudden, a Blue Dollars van was driving the other way, heading straight for Massey and his fence. "Woohoo!" cried Jenny, who was driving it. "Oh!" went the machines dodging the van, only going on both sides of the road. "Oh dear, sorry, Massey, you all right?" said Jenny, concerned. "Oh, I think so, Jenny. All right," said Massey. "But what were you doing driving on our side of the road?" "Your side of the road?" said Jenny, confused. "My van's a transformer box, and I was driving on the right. No one told me where the Eddie Stobart truck went." "I think you forgot the rule of the driving sides. In Canada, you drive on the right, but this is New Zealand. Here, we drive on the left side of the road," said Scratch. "I'll not do it again. I was heading to Masterton to wait for you when you come at night. I'll meet you at the farm once I find a place to oil myself." And off Jenny went, driving on the left. The machines continued on. After many kilometers, they arrived at the farm. "Welcome to Ferguson Farm, Scratch. We'll settle down while you and Max plough and plant," said Massey. "There's the new bucket for you to take on the night journey." "Oh, thanks. This I got to impress Bob about. I can't make the trenches in that patch when I'm small. Max is big enough to move the plough," said Scratch. Scratch got off the trailer, and Max took him to the field where the plough job and planting would commence. Max ploughed, then Scratch planted. Once the two jobs were done, they rested in the shed. "I'll say see you later when I go, guys. It was nice visiting your country," he said. "Good night and good luck. Will not disturb you," said Massey. Night came, and Scratch woke up Ted out of the shed, being quiet so as not to wake the others. As he got out of the farm, he used his talkie-talkie to talk to someone. "Scratch to Jenny, can you hear me?" he said. "Yes, I can. Stay where you are, and I'll find you." Jenny came up in the same van the hour before. "Here we are, Scratch, on a night drive to Masterton. It's rainy, so I'll stick to my vehicle. There's the farm you left. It's just quiet, and we'll harvest the wheat you planted." "Yeah, Jenny, I'll miss them. One more hour with them, and you won't see them for another lot of months. Come on now, we'll head to Masterton. We can't let the police find us. Someone must have seen me when I came here on the Eddie Stobart truck. I've got my bucket, so lead the way." With hearts thumping, the friends started the drive away from Ferguson Farm, heading out through Glenbrook. Matter came next, but they stopped because Scratch had an idea. "Scratch, why are we stopping here? You know water gets a robot rusted up," said Jenny. "There's a warehouse, Jenny. It's got a gigantic space for you to go in, and can you transform into anything like a toolbox?" said Scratch. "I can transform into a box and fit in your cab. Are you sure this is gonna work?" said Jenny. "It will. Just do as I say before an officer sees us." So they parked in an abandoned warehouse, keeping out of the rain, so Jenny could secretly transform into a box. When the plan was planned, they set off again, heading to Masterton. Scratch was pleased to travel at night. There wasn't a single delay to stop him and Jenny from their high driving. But he wasn't pleased for long when they got to Masterton. Scratch had just reached the top of a hill with turbine windmills when he saw the police car out on patrol at the bottom of the other side. Feeling a little panicked, he had a thump on his heart. If he goes to Masterton with the police car on his tail, it would be difficult to get to the Countdown warehouse. But he kept his nerves calm and thought of going into the town with taking a normal pace. After all, a speed limit sign was to tell anyone not to be out of it. With a steady move, he drove down the hill. He's at a crossing we went over on the way to the farm, whispered Scratch. I wonder what's going on with whatever's attracting it. It's a car crash, Scratch. It's none of our business to ask, whispered Jenny. She was right. Scratch could see there'd been a car crash during the night of a criminal that got into New Zealand as a stowaway on a boat that got arrested. Scratch just moved on to Masterton unnoticed. As soon as he left the crash site, he arrived at the town. See the warehouse down the left lane of the street? That's got a door hidden behind the crates. We can get through them after I unlock the door, said Jenny. I don't know, Jenny. We may need to keep an eye out for anyone that spots us, said Scratch. We'll not get seen. We just sneak in, then hide-sneak among the crates. Scratch moved towards the countdown shop. Right then, here's the plan, Scratch. I'll unlock the warehouse door, said Jenny. With my headlights off, said Scratch. Good idea. With them off, we can sneak inside, and I'll close the door. Let's be quick before the police car comes from the crossing. She unlocked the door as quietly as she could. Then they sneaked inside, and then she closed the door. Hey, what? Huh? What was that? Said another officer, but he couldn't see what the noise was. Inside the warehouse, the Blue Digger and Robot were looking for the secret door. It's on the other side of the room. We can just move quietly with taking a silent step, said Jenny. We'll soon be home in no time. Hop on again. We'll make a last row, said Scratch. Scratch moved quietly towards the other side of the large room. It wasn't long before he found the door with the button on the side of it. Home, here I come, he whispered. With a single press, Scratch opened the door. He went through the doorway, and when he got to the other side, he found he was back on Tasman Shore in Devonport. Home at last, said Scratch. I'll get you home first, Jenny. Then I better get home to the depot in Mitre-10. There's no need for that. I can drive home. I know the way, said Jenny. I'll see you later. She got out a transformer box, got it turned into the same doorless van, and off she drove. Scratch headed for home. What an adventure I had, visiting New Zealand and heading home for well-earned rest before working with Bob and the team. Jenny and I didn't even get into trouble. No delay can stop us. As long as we have sense, things would be difficult, said Scratch, part of a successful journey. He was so pleased that he thought up a song which wasn't thought of for years since he joined the Can-Do team. The little blue digger has done a job of gardening. Before dawn comes the heavy rain, but to a robot it can rust it up to a reddish pile. Now that's a pain. He drives through the dark, through the trees like a bird called a lark. Who was it that passes children who don't see him in the park only on a night that's not so bright? Little blue Scratch, who followed someone true and bright. That's blue and white, named Jenny. He now comes home in the morning to rest. He can say going to New Zealand and Wedge Avenue are the best. Now he sleeps before someone peeps. It was a good song. No machine has ever wrote up a song. He was the first one to do so. He crossed the river bridge, which he didn't see except the Tasman Bridge. He drove through Hobart, past the harbour, up the southern outlet known as a main road hill, and finally he arrived in Kingston. Hooray! It's good to be home, Scratch cheered. He made a last row and could see Mitre 10 just ahead. Bob was waiting. Morning, Scratch. How's your trip in New Zealand? He said. It was wonderful, Bob. Mabby ordered a new bucket for me as my first one's weathered as time went by, said Scratch. I may need a rest, though, before I get a job from you, he went on. All right, then. You have been far driving, said Bob. We'll need you for the new trees. Fee was busy and didn't have time to dig up holes. Scratch rested in the warehouse, then slept. He couldn't work if he was tired. He thought about his new friends he was with for a minute. The next he was not. He hoped to see them again. Isn't New Zealand wonderful?
Massey Ferguson, with the gold wheels and a mighty grin, will always be right there to lend a hand. If you see him passing by the road, tip your hat and say hello to the greatest little tractor in the land.